Hello, and welcome to today's recitation on the fundamentals of NumPy. In today's recitation, we'll be broadly covering what is NumPy, how to install it, some basic NumPy operations, and I'll leave you with some bit of reading to do at the end. So without further ado, let's get into it. What is NumPy? NumPy stands for Numerical Python, and it's a fundamental library for any form of scientific computing in Python. It enables highly efficient operations on arrays, from mathematical and logical expressions to basic linear algebra or random simulation. NumPy is primarily used when dealing with data stored in arrays. This is because of the variety of operations that NumPy has to manipulate a single or multiple data arrays. NumPy also supports something known as vectorization, which is essentially a highly efficient iterator through an array, like a for loop, but without an explicit call to a for method. In addition to this, NumPy has a wide variety of core submodules that aid in data processing, an example of which is linalg, which is short for linear algebra. It supports operations like the norm or inverse for matrix inversion. Lastly, several other fundamental libraries for data science, machine learning, or deep learning are built upon NumPy or work in tandem with NumPy. Examples of such libraries would be pandas, scikit-learn, and scipy. Let's look at how to install NumPy. You can install NumPy using pip, which is a Python package manager. Let's go ahead and do that here. And then we can import NumPy in our script or notebook as follows with import NumPy as NP. Usually we use NP as shorthand to use NumPy functionality within our script, and that saves us from arduously typing out NumPy several times in our notebook. We can check which version of NumPy we have with this command here. Let's look at basic data types in NumPy and other basics of NumPy. We have a scalar, a vector, matrix, and 3D tensors as basic data types in NumPy. Let's go over the scalar data type. We can quickly initialize one by doing np.array of a scalar. Now, any NumPy object will have an ndim, a shape, size, and dtype attribute. You can see that here the NumPy scalar has value 6. It is a zero-dimensional vector. It has no shape, size 1, and is initialized to the dtype of int64. Here, I'd like to point out an important caveat when dealing with data types. While Python is a dynamically typed language, meaning that data types are assigned on the fly, if you are dealing with floating point data, I would caution you to explicitly declare your NumPy array with floating point values, as you see here, or set dtype equals np.float32. Let's go ahead and run this cell here, and we see that our dtype is float32. If we do not do this, then NumPy will automatically typecast whatever values we have to an integer, and thus we may lose out on data. Similarly, we can create a matrix. We can verify that this is indeed a matrix as the number of dimensions is 2 and its shape is 2, 2. Similarly, we can also create a 3D tensor, which is verified by checking the number of dimensions as 3 and its shape as 2, 2, 2. NumPy also allows us to quickly get set up by creating several sort of matrices. We can do that with np.zeros, ones, or I, which is short for identity. Here, I would like to point you towards an important distinction in indexing data types or data arrays. There are two popular ways of indexing arrays in Python, either following the IJ convention or XY convention. IJ is usually what we use to index matrices, where 3, 2 would represent the third row and second column. And in the XY coordinate system, if we did 3, 2, we would first go along X 3 units and then along Y 2 units. So if we were to index the same element in a NumPy array with both of these coordinate systems, we would do it as follows. For ij, we would initialize it as follows. For xy, we can do the same thing, but when indexing the array, we will swap around the order of x and y. Now, both of these coordinates should index the same element in our NumPy array, and we indeed see that that is the case. This is a very important distinction to consider when dealing with image data. Axes operations are useful in NumPy as it allows us to get information about a certain row or a certain column. In NumPy, axis 0 refers to a column major order. So you'll sum across all of your rows as NumPy follows ij indexing, where I is your axis 0, j is your axis 1. This quick example will help us get clear with the different sort of axes that NumPy has. Similarly, in addition to sum, you can do min or max operations along individual axes as well. Also, the NumPy argument and argmax argument or function gives us the index of the minimum or maximum value. Initialization. NumPy allows us to also initialize arrays with uh, even spacing between the numbers or index all elements or start or initialize an array with all elements belonging to a certain value. We can create an array from existing data, such as a list, which is a popular data structure in Python, as follows, just by doing np.array on that list. Moreover, we can read arrays from disks. So we can either load a txt file or an npy file, which is a binary representation of NumPy data. As I told you, NumPy can be used to simulate random data. That can be done here with the np.random submodule. Whenever you're dealing with random data, it's important to set your seed to a certain value as it allows for repeatability of the so-called random sequence. Accessing data. We can create a dummy piece of data by using np.arrange as we've seen, and we can use NumPy's reshape operation to reshape it into the shape that we expect. Let's consider here 4, 5, 6 to represent 4 batches, 5 rows, and 6 columns. Thus, if we index the array with n0, 2, 3, we're going to the first batch, the third row, and fourth column of our dataset. And we see that's how we get 15. Slicing. Here, we can slice along a certain batch in NumPy, where if you use a colon, you're essentially iterating through all elements in that dimension. If you specify a start and end, you're only going to iterate throughout those rows or columns in that dimension. A good example to demonstrate this is if we consider an array where we've arranged values from 0 to 20. Then if we wanted to print only the even values, we can slice it as follows by using colon, colon, and 2. That slices from 0 to the end at intervals of 2. And if you want to reverse the array, NumPy allows us to do that by specifying -1 as the step that we use. Let's talk about masking and Boolean indexing. Say I have an array of numbers from 1 to 10, and I want to quickly know where the even numbers in my array are. So for that, I can declare a mask that is equal to wherever the array modulo 2 is equal to 0, essentially where it's even. Thus, our array is an array of natural numbers. The mask is an array of true or false booleans, where we can see using np.unique that we have only false and true as our two values, and there are 5 counts of each of them in our array. Thus, when we use this mask to index the array, we get only the even numbers. A similar uh, ideology can be extended for the 2D case. Modifying data. We can modify values in NumPy similar to how it would be done in Python. This example does demonstrate that. Manipulating data. It's important to know how to transpose arrays in NumPy, as that's something you'll be doing a lot of in this course. So we can initialize an array using np.arrange, and then we can use the .reshape function to reshape it into a shape that we want. NumPy is clever in the way it handles this reshape argument, in that you can give the dimension that you want a certain number, and then NumPy will automatically figure out what the dimensionality of the other dimension should be, where you specify it as -1. So here NumPy is clever enough to figure out that we wanted to reshape our array to 5, 10. There's several ways you can transpose that array, either doing np.transpose or the array.t, which is shorthand for transpose. Squeezing and expanding arrays is also something that you might do a lot of in this course. So again, we will initialize a dummy NumPy array. We can add a new axis as follows by doing np.newAxis wherever we want our new axis to be placed. And we can also squeeze our array that basically removes the dimension, which has dimensionality of 1. Reshaping has several use cases, be it either flattening, patching, sequential input, or image inputs. Now, we quickly cover combining data in NumPy. It's important to know how to concatenate data in NumPy. We've initialized two arrays here, and we can take a look at the result of concatenating about different axes. Over here, you see that data has been concatenated over the 0th axis, then the first axis, and then the second axis. Stacking. The stack operation joins a sequence of arrays along a new axis. We can see that with the help of this example here. Array 1 is as follows. Array 2 is declared as follows. If you simply stack them, remember to keep the arrays you want to stack within parentheses, then it's stacked along a new dimension that's added to the start. So you get 2, 3 given by axis 0. If you wanted to stack it along the first dimension, then we'd specify axis 1. Also specifying axis equal to -1 stacks it along the last dimension. In our case, since we're dealing with 1D data, the outcome of that operation is similar to what stacked array 2 is. We will lastly cover other operations in NumPy such as the dot product, broadcasting, and pointwise and elementwise operations. The dot product, as you know from linear algebra, is something that you can perform between two matrices. NumPy offers convenient syntax for us to carry this out by doing A dot B, where A and B are two matrices that can be dotted together. Broadcasting. What happens when we try to do operations with tensors with seemingly incompatible shapes? The dimensions aren't compatible as is, but how does NumPy still give us the right result? This is where the power of broadcasting comes in. You can take one array of a certain dimension and another array, and if they're able to be broadcasted along a certain dimension, in this case the second dimension, then NumPy will automatically broadcast one of the input arrays to match the shape of the other input array and give you a valid output without throwing any shape errors. We can see that with the help of this example over here, where I have a row array and a column array with seemingly incompatible shapes. But NumPy then broadcasts them to fit with each other and allow me to perform scalar addition or multiplication between the two arrays. Here, this multiplication symbol is the element-wise multiplication operator in Python. That's what we talk about in this example here. We can do element-wise operations, such as multiplication with a scalar, or element-wise multiplication across two arrays. I would like to point out to you and make it clear that element-wise multiplication is not the same as matrix multiplication, which is given by an @ symbol in Python. It might be easy to confuse both of these at the start, but here's an example of when you will pass the quote-unquote shape test in Python, where the output is the same shape that you'd expect it to be, but the results are vastly different. Say I wanted to do matrix multiplication of two arrays A and B, I would do it as A @ B. If I incorrectly did it as A star B, I would return an array of the same shape that I expect. However, the values will be drastically different. So please take care when doing matrix multiplication in NumPy and in Python, and be sure to use the right operator. That's it for this tutorial, and feel free to check out the notebook and click on this link here for some popular opinions on NumPy. I hope you found this tutorial informative, and please reach out to me if you have any further questions about NumPy or deep learning in general. Thank you.